What's up everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a review of this guy. It is the Galaxy Gear. It is Samsung's first smartwatch and perhaps the smartwatch that's going to lead the smartwatch charge over the next few years. I put it through its paces. Let me tell you what I think. So as I do with all of my devices, let me give you a disclaimer. I used it as my only watch for 7 days, which is the first time I really ever get to say that. So this is one of the hardest devices I really ever had to review. I try really hard to keep all bias out from any product I checked out, but from the get-go, I just really couldn't see the point of the Galaxy Gear. From the outside looking in, it's got a super low-res 1.9 megapixel camera and really doesn't do anything that my phone doesn't. But I gave it a shot mostly because I had to, and as it turns out, the more I wore it, the more I started to see its utility, which is really surprising. For my mind, it's kind of harder to change someone's mind than it is to reinforce already preconceived idea about a product. So it's still far from perfect, so let's go ahead and get started. So from a hardware standpoint, it's got a 1.6-inch screen and 800 megahertz single-core processor, but it's not a phone, it's a watch, and it doesn't suffer at all from any lack of power. In fact, you almost want less power to maximize battery life. Everything on the UI felt really zippy. I actually really liked the way the watch looked. The brushed aluminum and textured rubber band actually looked pretty nice, and the camera jetting out the side sort of made it look very high-tech. Surprisingly comfortable to wear, at least as comfortable as any other watch. When I wear a watch all the time, it felt a little bit on the thick side, but after a day or so, I really didn't notice it. Mentioning that camera, the shots on this camera are awful. I don't mean just like bad, I mean really bad. I'd say probably even worse than my first camera phone from like a decade ago. Video, predictably, is equally as bad. I really ended up only using the camera when I was showing someone what the watch could do and be like, hey, look, it's got a camera. And it's really strange to take pictures with it on your wrist. You have to hold it and you gotta tilt your head up and look and then finally take your picture. It just didn't make sense to me. It didn't look good. It's a bad viewfinder, it's a bad camera. The Gear has an outdoor mode, which turns up the brightness, but don't expect to see the screen at all in the daylight, or with polarized lenses on at all. It might as well just be black. So if you want to use this in the daylight, you work in direct sunlight, you're gonna have a really hard time with it. And the more you keep it in that outdoor mode, the less your battery is going to be, which we will definitely talk about. So let's jump over to software. This is where we get down to the functionality of the watch. Navigating the UI is actually pretty simple. You swipe left and right to get to your apps and your settings and all that kind of stuff. And from there, it's just tapping and scrolling what you want. If you've used a modern smartphone, it's actually pretty intuitive. To go to your watch screen, you just swipe down from anywhere. It's almost like pulling down the Android notifications tray. You're supposed to be able to turn the screen on by lifting your wrist, sort of doing like this motion, but it only worked about 60% of the time. Sometimes you really have to like exaggerate it like this to get it to turn on. Mostly I just push the button on the side to get it to turn on. And we get to that watch screen, you can customize it, which is actually pretty nice. For mine, I had the time and had 3 shortcuts, made it very easy. I didn't have to go into the settings or the apps all that often. Everything I needed was right on that home screen. There are apps for most things, including a pedometer, notifications, and more can be downloaded. I liked that it gave me notifications for text messages. It was actually really handy and let me read them, but why didn't it do that for mail? So let me give you an example of how I started to find a utility here with the Galaxy Gear. So I just had a newborn baby, and it was about 4 in the morning, and I was trying to rock him to sleep in his rocker. I had my phone in my pocket and had the Galaxy Gear on. I got a text message from a friend on the East Coast, and I couldn't turn my phone on to look at it because the light would have woken up the kid. And if you ever had a child, you do not want to wake a sleeping baby because it could be hours before they go back to bed. So I was able just to check the message right on my phone. The light didn't wake him up and it was really easy. And sort of at that point I started to see, okay, I can actually get why you might use this. It does rely on S-Voice for voice commands, not Google search, which is really a shame. So it's really a crapshoot if it's actually going to work. S-Voice, I am not a fan of at all, and it doesn't really work all that well here on the watch. So back to camera, you can only view the pictures you've taken, not those on your device. So that's kind of annoying. Pinch to zoom though works pretty well on those, and it'll sync the pictures automatically from the Gear over to your Galaxy Note 3, which it only works with. Right now, it does not work with any other device, only the Galaxy Note 3, which is kind of silly. Samsung's got an app called the Gear Manager. It lets you customize your device and download tons more applications. So many of my gripes that I've got could get addressed by applications, and there are, as I use the device every day, there seems to be more apps that were available. So much like a phone, it also makes phone calls. It's essentially just a Bluetooth speaker on your wrist. You got a speaker right down there, and there's a microphone built in. So as I mentioned, I started to find the watch more useful. And again, somehow it involves a baby. So I was holding the baby in one hand, I had my phone on the couch, and I was trying to rock him to get him to quiet down. And my mom called, she was coming over with dinner, which was super appreciated. And I couldn't have made it over to get the phone and answer it while still holding the baby. I was able to just answer the phone right from my wrist, talk to her, have her come over and bring us a delicious fish dinner, coincidentally. And so it was then I thought, okay, no one's around, so I don't feel silly going like this. The quality of the speaker wasn't overly awesome, but I was definitely able to use it, and it was really, really helpful to have. And I wouldn't have sort of realized that if I didn't use it for as long as I did. So a big question mark for me was how is battery life going to be on this? And it lasted pretty solid 2 days, and it was essentially from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and I turned it off at night, which was not awful. You can charge it sort of every day and be fine. Speaking of charging, it is a gigantic pain in the butt. You need an adapter to do so. You don't have a micro USB port on here. You got to plug it into this pretty clunky adapter, and then you can charge it. So the Galaxy Gear for me feels very, very much like a public beta, sort of like Google Glass. It does a finished product. I do now totally see the utility behind it, but at $399 only working on one device, I could never, ever, ever in a million years justify the price for this. It was useful for those few times that I was holding a baby or rocking a baby to sleep, but it doesn't do anything that my phone doesn't. So maybe I can just carry my phone with me in my pocket, or maybe turn the brightness down when I'm trying to rock the baby to sleep, and then the Galaxy Gear, maybe not so much right now. A few glaring omissions. Not being able to read emails on it makes very little sense to me. Relying on S-Voice makes even less sense to me. The speaker quality is mediocre. It looks cool, it functions pretty well, it's relatively comfortable, but there are a lot of holes that need to be addressed. If you're thinking about getting the Galaxy Gear, my best bet is to wait for Gen 2. This gets a 6 on the Techno Buffalo scale, which is much improved over what I thought it was going to get initially. It's got utility, but it's very far from a polished product. So what do you guys think of our first smartwatch review? Do you like the Galaxy Gear? Is it for you, not for you? I would love to hear your thoughts. Are you picking up the combo of the Note 3 and the Gear? Leave in the comments down below and let us know what your opinions are. Until next time, I am John Redger from Techno Buffalo. Be sure to check us out at technobuffalo.com for the latest and greatest tech news. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
What's up, everyone? It's Ashley. Thanks so much for watching that most recent video. If you enjoyed it, please click on the word subscribe right underneath me to get tons of more tech videos from us here at Techno Buffalo. We have got unboxings, comparisons, reviews, recaps, and everything else you can think of here on the channel. Now, if you're in the mood for more technology, just click right over here to check out some of our most recent videos. See you next time, humans.